Good morning. My name is Erin Gall, and I'm the chair of the Small Business Committee for the Rocky Mount Area Chamber of Commerce. We're so happy to be here this morning to congratulate Glenn and Vicki Bottoms with Bottoms Tire and Automotive Center for being the Small Business of the Month for March 2021. This is a wonderful year to acknowledge them. They're 35 years in business this year. 1986 is when they opened their doors. They've been at different locations. They've expanded. They redid their building a couple of years ago. They have a fabulous website and every possible tire you could want under the sun. But Glenn, tell us a little bit about how you've changed over the years and kind of where you are right now with your business.
Well, basically it's like everything. The world of electronics has changed, so everybody has to change with it. So we've learned how to adapt and change with new technology and updates and so forth, and you have to change when the world changes.
I know with COVID, everyone experienced a lot of changes. However, with automotive stuff, I didn't know how that went with you all, because people still need transportation. They still need to get to where they need to be.
This is true.
Did you see any dips in business, or did you just keep going strong?
Well, I think a lot of the salespeople had some issues as far as buying cars and so forth. As far as mechanical business, the mechanical business has still been going on, and it's been real good this past year. We had an increase. I was prepared to not lay anybody off, but just clean up the building and just do different various things right here, because they still got income and still got bills to pay just like everybody else, even though you've got a pandemic around.
Yep. Well, I know that you have a stellar reputation around town. Everybody comments about how you're just very sincere, genuine, and trustworthy, and you're not going to old lady someone, is what my husband always says when I go someplace. So I appreciate that, and it's been consistent over the decades. So everybody, Bottoms Tire and Automotive Center, if you need any kind of automotive repairs, tires of any kind, any brand, give them a call, and they can help you. We're going to turn it on over to Jean, who's going to do a much more comprehensive interview, but we're just so excited to honor Bottoms in their 35th year. They were a 2013 recipient of the award, and it just shows that they have continued with a strong business.
Glenn, we're so glad to be back with you. I noticed up here you have been still celebrating April 2013 when we last came here when you were Small Business of the Month. So your reputation is as good as it gets in Rocky Mount. I congratulate you for that, because we certainly like our small locally owned businesses, but what I hear most is you're fair, you're reasonable, you're honest. I mean, all the things that people like, as Erin mentioned, you don't do the old ladies have to worry type thing, but that's very much a part of what you set out to be from the very beginning, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And customer service, that's number one for you?
It's number one priority is customer service. I try to see everybody and address their problem and go the best way we know how to get their problem resolved.
Glenn, with all the changes, I mean, cars are changing all the time, and of course electronically they're getting more complicated.
Yes, they are.
How do y'all stay current with that?
Well, we continue going to schools all the time. It's every week thing by somebody's having a school somewhere or another that we have to stay up on technology.
Online? You do it online?
Right now we're doing online, but they do have a lot of on training that's out at Nash Tech a lot.
And you've got just, all of your people are credentialed. I mean, that's really amazing that you require that of them to work here?
Yeah, yes I do. ASC certified.
Well, and people in ASC,
ASE.
Okay, and what does that?
Automotive Service Excellence. And I require that for their knowledge and mine too, and let customers see that we're trying to keep up with all the technology going on, let them know that we know what we're doing.
And when you moved from next door to this building, did that come a lot because of damage done with the flood, or you had planned it?
Actually, we moved here in '91. I just needed more space. I was renting that building over there. The man didn't want to do any updates, and he didn't want to grow. He wanted to just retire and collect money, and which that's fine, because it's probably what I won't do in years coming down the road. But basically, I needed more space, so I bought this land over here and built this building, and it's worked out real good for us.
Well, and where did you start out? What was your first location?
Well, I used to work for Milton Dutton at Carolina Tire. I worked there for 8 years, and then I went to work for Montgomery Ward's for 8 years. And then my last child, third child, was born in November, and I come home in January and told the wife that I was going in business for myself. You can't do that.
Yeah.
She liked to have a fit, but anyway, I told her that I'm turning wrenches for somebody else. I'm going in business. If it don't work out, I go back turning wrenches for somebody else again. But 35 years later, next week we'll have a 35th anniversary.
Wonderful.
And that's how long we've been in business, and a lot of changes in 35 years.
Oh, and in the future, does it sometimes kind of scare you a little bit to think about the increased electronics on all the vehicles and stuff? I mean, there are going to be massive changes coming
It's
up.
scary every day, because I learn something every day on about the way different things are made on cars, whether they're electric cars or it's just crazy. Cars now, when you raise the hood on them, you can't see nothing but plastic. So it's kind of like some of your ATVs you buy. You see all the plastic. Well, then you got 30 minutes getting plastic off to get to your problem so you can diagnose something.
And you've had to buy all these things that read the electronics, and I mean, the expense.
Scanners are updated. Well, they come out with yearly updates, but they're probably updated every other day. But you just get a new scanner every year. Don't worry about the updates. That's what I do, is buy a new one and keep the other one, because you never know when they'll break down, and you've got everything you use now. You do a brake job on a car now, it's got electric brakes on it. You got to have a scanner to get the brake calipers to go in so you can actually do the brakes. So your backyard guy don't have his scanners, he can't do the brakes. It's
crazy.
Just a crazy thing.
Well, when people come in, you give them choices too, don't you? I know you can get the brand names for cars if they want to, but you can give them a range of price ranges and options.
Of course, you can always buy genuine GM, Ford, Acura, or whatever parts. But you've got some automotive services out here that you've got the Fisher Auto Parts. I buy probably 80% of my parts from there. Of course, I try to take care of the customer. Fisher Auto Parts is my #1 supplier, and anywhere I can get parts is where I purchase them, as far as a good quality part. Your cheaper parts, they'll be back.
Well, and that's why people need to come to local people where you've been here forever, with 35 years coming up. And I just hear one of my best friends, it just tells me all the time, she said, Bottoms takes care of my cars. She said she lives by herself. She's not young. And she said he will always shoot straight with me. He'll give me a fair price. And if he thinks I need to upgrade to something, or it's not necessary to spend that money, he tells me exactly the way it is. So how many people do you have working for you?
There's 14 on payroll.
And do you hire mainly local people and train them, or where do you get your employees?
Well, we don't have a lot of turnover. I've had people been here anywhere from the minimum of right now is 4 years. Everybody else has been with me between 4 years and 32 years.
And you interact with other locally owned businesses in town. I mean, if something comes here and you can't do it, you keep the work local, don't you?
Yes, I do. I'm a member of Automotive Association, which is something similar to IGO, where Chuck Brazel, Steve Tripp, Wayne Jenkins, Ronald Sykes, all of us are in that network, and we converse with each other and try to sort things out. If we run into a problem, I can call them, especially if I have a running hot problem that I can't get straightened out. Nobody knows everything, so basically you do run into a deadhead and need a little extra help sometime or another. And these guys jump in and help me, and just like I'll help them. Just making it all better for everybody.
What kind of changes do you see going on in Rocky Mount? I mean, your business, you said, has been fairly stable throughout the COVID crisis?
Yes, it's been very stable. We've had an upgrade as far as incentive for different things going on. What I'm trying to say is we have maintained, we have not fell off. We still trying to online training, and we had an increase last year.
Good.
How, I don't know, but I was prepared for all this pandemic going on for a decrease, and still keep my guys working, cleaning up the shop or whatever. There's always something got to be cleaned up around the shop. But we've been real successful in staying busy.
Great. Well, we're so glad you've been able to keep your employees still supported and whatnot for their families. Now, if I came in here with a car with tons of miles on it, and you would give me the options, and we were talking ahead of time about maybe you had somebody come in and you suggested they had a great vehicle, put in a new motor, and you really educated me on that, because a new one was not, as opposed to a used motor, was not much difference in price, but that's the type of thing.
Yeah.
And if you'll share that, people need to trust somebody's judgment on that who sees it.
Okay, for instance, I had a vehicle come in here, and the motor was had a blowed head gasket or cracked head. Anyway, it's got combustion in the engine. If you price a used motor, most of the time a used motor is going to have 150 plus thousand miles on it. So you're buying somebody else's engine that you have no history about. For probably $800 to $1,500, depending on the engine. You can put a remanufactured engine in it. As far as parts, labor, it's more labor to put a new engine in compared to a used one, because the used one's got your valve covers and oil pan, time cover. So there's a lot of parts you don't change. You put a long block in, you take all the excess parts that's on your new motor, the old motor, and put on your new motor, and be cleaned out properly. You know everything's good, and you got a 3-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So something that's brand new, you know you'll get a whole lot better service, and you'll keep it a whole lot longer. Because it's always been bad to me to spend, say, $3,000 on a vehicle with a used motor, and 6 months down the road, you've created the same problem. So I try to refer over to new motors if the car is worth it. And on the other hand, I kind of look at cars when they come in here, and if the car is not worth one, I say you might be better off to get rid of this, take a beating, because it's really not worth the extra money to spend in that.
But you've seen it and done it, and you know that you can look at something and have a much better understanding of what's going to happen than than people coming in, and I think it's so valuable.
Yeah.
That you can speak frankly with people, and people trust you.
Well, what I try to do there is I get on the customer side and looking at it instead of just on the receiving side. I explain to the customer in their eyes that where we're at, where we're going, what they need to do, and what my opinion would be.
If it were your car or Vicky's car.
My car, I would say you got a slight skip in it, but it's got major engine mechanical problems, as far as maybe a 1-cylinder down on compression. It's okay to drive, you're just not going to get good gas mileage, but also at the same time, it's not something you can depend on to travel long distance. It's a beat around town car. So I say you either have to fix it or discard it. And we'd weigh it out depending on how old the car is, what kind of shape it's in, and what kind of shape they take. I said, this may not be what you want to hear, but this is what the gospel is.
Yeah, and we need that.
Yeah.
We're going to go meet some of your employees, aren't we?
Sure.
Okay, and I want you to brag on them too. Introduce them and brag on them. So
I can do that.
We'll be right back. Glenn, there's nothing better than a satisfied customer who was walking in, and so we grabbed Mr. Whitaker, Alvin Whitaker, and there is more. Not only are you a satisfied customer, but you all have interacted together, working together, haven't you?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, we worked together about 40-some years ago at Kmart Automotive, right across the street.
Great.
I went in the military. He told me he was going to get his own business, and I came back. He had it, and I've been dealing with him ever since. He never let me down.
Well, and brag on him. We want you to really tell us
Brag on
why you're a satisfied customer.
One thing about it, he don't shoot you wrong. It's got a problem, it's real bad. He gonna call you for it, work on it. Some people just work on your car and then charge you for it. Mm-hmm. He gonna make sure it's just what you want, and then he'll fix it for you.
And
Never
you-
had no problem.
And you like dealing locally, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you tell your friends when they
A lot
ask
of
where do
people
I need to go?
recommend him. Yes, ma'am. Sit on the clean.
Can't ask for a better customer than that, can you?
I know his mama comes here, his daughter comes here.
Yep.
So
Brothers, nephews. He a good man. He be honest. Be honest. That's what I like about him.
Yeah, and I think there's a history in automotive that you can't always count on that. To hear from somebody whose name, how many years have you known him?
Yeah, about 46. That's something
Yeah,
on him.
something like
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, 46. Yeah.
you know
I'll be
somebody.
47 next week.
Oh, you will. Okay. Well, thank you. We appreciate
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
Okay. Now we're going to meet some of your employees. Let's take a quick break and we'll bring them all out. Okay. Once again, we are celebrating Bottoms Tire and Automotive Center Incorporated right here, Small Business of the Month for February. Glenn, your team. Yeah, he has been bragging on you. He said, I think the shortest length of time anybody's been with him is 4 years. So,
Antonio, I forgot. Antonio's been with me since July.
since July. Are you Antonio? Okay, well you got to live up to this. This is once you come, you stay. So that speaks volumes in terms of that y'all like to work here. He was very faithful to you, kept y'all employed during when a lot of people lost their jobs and whatnot recently. But this must be a great place to live, and I have gotten to know Glenn and Vicki Bottoms, and I can see why you enjoy coming to work here. Glenn, would you introduce them, and then we'll see if they want to chip in a little bit.
Well, starting from right over here, you have Andrew. Andrew drives from Sharpsburg every day. He's a good electrician. Works on any part of the car that you need to work on, whether it's front end or rear end. He's got a lot of training background and so forth. Antonio has been with me since July. Antonio is from Bahamas. He's been up here about 2 years or so, and he likes it around here, and he is a super great electronic guy also, but he does a lot of whatever you need to get done. Jerry right here drives all the way from Macclesfield every day. He's got a long ride, especially when you have real bad weather and so forth, and makes the extra effort to come on in and be with us. Jerry changes a lot of tires and oil changes, takes interest in picking up on other jobs. He helps me out on doing alignments and just about anything I need to do around the shop. Billy's been with me several years. He drives to Spring Hope every day. He's got a haul too, that's about 20 miles or so, but still, Billy comes in and helps us out any way we need done. He does a lot of the oil changes and tires and just general checking customers' cars out. And nowadays, a lot of low air pressure lights being on, especially with time changing, the air temperature changes, light will pop on, people go crazy. So we try to check all the air pressures and so forth, and that's a big challenge now. Gerald has been with me about 11 years. He stays out 58, about halfway to Wilson, and of course he does a great job for us and knowledgeable. He worked at the Ford dealer for about 28 years, so he's got a lot of knowledge on the vehicles. James stays in Tarver, so it looks like I've got everybody that comes from out of town to come up here, but James stays in Tarver, and he's been with me going on 11 years, and he does a super job. He does electronics, motors, whatever I need to get done. We try to stay out of the inside of motors, because whenever you go in here and like putting head gaskets on, whenever you put head gaskets on cars, you create problems, and that's what we don't try to do, is create problems. We try to fix problems. So we'll put a whole complete motor in, or we put a whole complete transmission in. We don't go into them and do any inside work on them. Keith is hiding from me over here. Keith stays in Pine Tops.
Oh, okay.
So basically, like I said, I've got a full crew that comes to work, and it's got a little distance to go, which is not a long ways, but still it is. But Keith's been with me for 31 years. 31 years. So
Wow.
He's been here a long time. Tiffany's been with me.
Can we see Tiffany? Come on, we can't see you.
Okay,
that's good.
Stays in Nashville. Well, about halfway to Nashville, Rocky Mount. But still, she comes in here and helps me get a lot of parts and try to help distribute some of the jobs and stuff out for different folks. I've got
So more of a
front.
support person instead of actually hands-on in
She
here.
don't do any mechanical, but she's real good at checking air pressure and tires too. She
Great.
does that if a customer comes up and waiting. She does a good job of getting the car and manually doing it herself. So it's not a big hassle on doing something like that. You get the customer in and out quicker if somebody else is tied up on a job.
And you're known for fast work. I mean, that if you tell people I can have this ready for a certain time,
Well, I try to
you do.
I try to do that. I'm learning how to slow down a little bit and not get myself in a bind over the years, because now there's so much different change that fast work is not fast work anymore. Because I think I was telling you earlier that, you know, you open the hood on some of these cars, you can't even see nothing under the hood but plastic. So you got to get down to the problem to get the problem right. I still have my record driver. He's not here right now. And that's Bobby, my son. He does a lot of that. I've got a couple people up front that actually answer the phone and do the write-ins on the customers and doing the billing and so forth. That's Wanda. She's been with me for 33 years. And then AJ is up front. He does a lot of the computer stuff as far as putting all the billing in and getting prices on parts and trying to give estimates and so forth. But that's what we've got here right now. And I've got a real good, successful business and try to take care of all of my employees and customers.
Great. Well, your reputation certainly says that you do that. Thank you, guys. We're going to bring Vicki in to wrap up the show with us, but thank you for all you're doing. We are joined by your better half. Do you think that's safe to say?
Yeah, I've been putting up with her 44 years last week.
Well, wow. And he told us about when your third child was born, he said, I'm going into business for myself. Wow.
And I was a stay-at-home mom at that time too.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Well, y'all are a real team in this, aren't you?
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, and I want to point out a couple of things. We, of course, talked about the towing, that you will tow vehicles, and we've got a nice picture of your truck that does that. People can drop off their keys in their car ahead of time. Your website is wonderful. I mean, I wanted to look at it kind of last minute, and I was able to bring it up on my phone, and you can book things, you can find out the services. I think one of the things you do as kind of a community service is you put tips on there for how to maintain vehicles. Where do you have somebody who maintains it for you and you give her the information or him
Right.
the information?
Somebody else does that for us.
To put it on. Do many people use it to book service?
Yeah, we get quotes off of it pretty often, and you could actually go on there and price tires, so you don't have to
great.
call and things like that.
And the list of tires, I mean, you carry just about everything there is, don't you?
Oh, we have access to them.
Wow. Glenn, when somebody comes in and says, I need new tires, but I don't know what's best for my car, is that something you're pretty comfortable with?
Yeah, first thing I do is try to find out how long they plan on keeping the car, so you know what kind of tire to put on there. Some of your cheaper tires, I'll get you by for a year or so, but you don't get any miles out of them, no service out of them. So I try to stay away from those. But if somebody wants the bottom line, that's what I sell them. But
You can get it.
you can't beat a Michelin, BF Goodrich, or Uniroyal. All those are different rates of tires, but Michelin being the best, of course. You can get cheaper tires than Michelin, you can get cheaper tires than Uniroyal. But like I say, you look in service and you won't repeat, because you don't want somebody to buy a set of tires and a year later they wore out and these blame tires here ain't no good. Nobody likes to hear that.
No, and that, again, that's what one of the many things you're known for is you're honest. There goes somebody too fast. Slow down. I want to talk about, y'all have always been very good supporters of our community too. One of the things that the Chamber Award Small Business of the Month goes to is people who not only benefit with their livelihood, but they also give back. And I know that there are a number of organizations you give to. Vicki, would you mention them, please?
The American Cancer Society, the American Heart Society, and Alzheimer's. We did pretty much with that. I don't know that a lot of people give the Alzheimer's the support they need to.
Well, and we've got an aging population here in Rocky Mount, so we are appreciative of looking toward that and new ways to help with that. Glenn, if somebody came in and brought an older car, how long do you give free quotes and let them know exactly what they can expect from the very beginning?
Well, sometimes you can do free quotes as far as giving them some kind of idea, but sometimes you have to do a little diagnostic to get in there. So I try to give somebody a free quote if possible. But if you've got a drivability problem that you have to spend some time on, even though it's an older car, you still have to spend some time on, we have probably a minimum of a half hour trying to give them a good quote, knowing what they're going to spend on their car.
And if I were to come in here and didn't have transportation, just in the basic geographic area, you want to give somebody a ride home?
3 to 5 miles, I'll give you a ride home and so forth.
And your business has expanded beyond Rocky Mount. I noticed that a lot of your employees, when you were introducing them, you were telling Macclesfield and Pine Tops and whatnot, but you attract customers from outside this area too, don't you?
Well, I've got a couple of customers that comes all the way from Zedland. He don't carry his car nowhere but here. I got a woman that comes from Warrenton to here, some from Roanoke Rapids and Wilson. I even got one woman that comes from Fayetteville to here. She schedules it, gets the oil change. Doesn't matter what it is. She comes all the way from Fayetteville. If her car breaks down, she has it towed here. She's got AAA and she's got 100-mile free towing, and she'll have it towed here. We'll repair the car and send her on her way.
Well, great. Well, big congratulations. In 35 years, I mean, that speaks volumes, but you're a good woman. With 3 kids starting a business, but hey, it worked out, didn't it?
It did.
Very much so, but we're really proud of y'all, so thank you for what you do for us, and thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.